Organisation of Australian social system. We made a conscious decision not to put out the Union magazine before Christmas that we normally would, with the attributes of what we've achieved in the last 3 to 4 months, and we've dedicated those resources to print that particular paper. And it was our intention for our organisers to have those discussions with workers on site about the Americanisation, about how the public health system in America is trying to be replicated here, the removal of safety nets and those sort of things, and start to have that discussion with building workers that they are aware of what is actually going on. That's not what I wanted to talk about, but it might be something important in the new year that we might want to consider, analyse Tom's thoughts, and I think have some general discussion about where we're going, certainly in Australia, with the dismantling of all those safety nets and things that working organisations have built into the system over a number of years. So before I started, I wanted to say that, and hopefully I can get that to you, hopefully before Christmas, before things all start to fall apart because of Christmas. Today, I wanted to make a very succinct, hopefully, analysis of the question about should workers struggle. Obviously, because you're here, you know the answer is obviously yes, but I might want to put some details and flesh into why we believe that workers should struggle. We know in history the working class has always been a struggle. That's why it's called the working class struggle, but there is no condition or entitlement that we have today that hasn't been hard fought for. Superannuation, long service leave, the 8-hour day, rostered days off, public holidays, workers' compensation, paid sick leave, accident insurance, pay rises were not given to workers by the boss. Instead, workers united around these causes and put their pay packets and jobs on the line and fought with strikes and demonstrations to secure justice in the workplace. It is a historic fact that each of these incremental victories by the working class was fought with the fury of a world war by the employers, big business and conservative political forces. They were the Hanrahans who declared that we'll all be ruined by the end of the year. And that was and remains the biggest lie that business continues to push. Despite dire predictions almost 60 years ago, after the 40-hour working week became law, it's never been a better time for big business, and workers are fighting a rearguard action battle to defend even the right to have a decent day's pay. In 2011, we have the obscenity of corporations after corporation in Australia hitting the record jackpot light. Here's a few to obviously contemplate. BHP made $23.6 billion profit, a corporate record in Australia's history. Australian banks are among the most profitable in the world. The Commonwealth Bank alone made $6.83 billion full-year profit, with Westpac just pipping them in the history-making states with $7 billion profit. ANZ and the NAB weren't far behind the sector, and will have a combined profit this year of $26 billion. In the construction industry, profits in 2010 increased 55.5%, and Australia's biggest builder, Leighton's, made a profit of $300 million in the first 3 months of the financial year alone. Qantas bosses tell us that the company is struggling, yet it is one of the most profitable in the world despite floods, earthquakes, still pulled in $500 million profit in the financial year just ended. It's not only corporate Australia that is doing very, very well. The people who run corporate Australia are having a time of their life. In Australia, the average CEO's total pay packet is now worth almost 100 times that of the average worker. So Alan Joyce at Qantas can give himself a 70% pay rise and at the same time refuse to negotiate a fair pay rise for the people who are actually keeping the planes in the sky. So we have record profits and obscene executive pays, and big business still wants more. And it certainly, when Joyce shut down all the Qantas flights, it wasn't about a pay dispute. It was about crushing the union movement, and you could hear the big business end of town cheering from the sidelines. Yeah. It is no surprise that the Qantas board is overloaded with anti-union heavyweights from the mining multinationals. Chief among them, their chairman Lee Clifford, who headed up Rio Tinto during the push to put workers on contracts. The truth is, business in Australia is intent on driving wages down. For instance, Westpac's profit was in large part fuelled by getting rid of staff. They are not only ones shedding workers to boost profits. Qantas has announced 1,000 job cuts and wants to send the jobs offshore to Asia. We all know the fate of BlueScope steel workers in the Illawarra, and there's BHP record-breaking results once again. There in Australia a conga line of corporations that have no moral compass when it comes to workers' safety, job security and rights. This lack of morality in business is best exemplified by a worker of ours, Albino Alborez, a carpenter who worked for Bovis Lend-Lease for 35 years. The CFMEU is now fighting an unfair dismissal claim for Alborez after he was recently sacked because of a downturn in the construction industry. It's not so much the loss of his job that has hit Alborez, but the manner in which it was done. This 60-year plus individual was convinced to come back to work because he had very little sick leave, was convinced to come back to work while he was on sick leave because Lend-Lease needed him to work. He turns up at 7 a.m, is told he needs to clean out a container. He walks around the corner and standing there is the Lend-Lease manager with Alborez's termination papers.
Well done.
So after 35 years of loyalty, the company can't show this ordinary man enough respect to take him into an office and offer him a chair while they sack him. This is how big business operates in Australia today. The bottom line is everything, and humanity and dignity costs too much. In Australian, unions are fighting a concerted bid by big business to drive wages down. They are doing this by offering individual contracts, using illegal immigrants, and by turning workers into small businesses through the use of Australian business numbers and the proliferation of sham contracting. Not only does this reduce the cost to business and the risk, it also means ordinary workers are carrying out the risks of